Good morning. This is the Friday Fireside, and I'm here with one of our favorite guests and friends, Tony Goncalves. Tony, how are you?
I'm good, Rick. Every time I see you, I see a hat that I don't like.
What
Can we can we make you a Yankee fan? Can we convert you?
my son, who was born an Orioles fan, dated and married a gal whose family is from New York, and now he has turned into a Yankees fan, you know? And the worst part is my grandkids are Yankees fans, and I
There you go.
I can't stand it.
There you go. My son went to school in Boston. I said to him, I said, the only thing, buddy, is you cannot come back a Sox fan or a Patriots fan. That, and so we'll see if that works.
All right. Well, speaking of Boston and New York and everything else, you're a world traveler, and I think I've seen you in Portugal recently, but now you're back in New York for a bit, right?
Yeah, I bounce back and forth between Portugal and the U.S., New York and Lisbon, and then the north of Portugal as well. It's fun. It's good. It's a
Well, you
good
look like you're
rhythm.
having a lot of fun, so I gotta congratulate that on
You.
you on that. You just finished up with the Stream TV conference in Portugal, right?
Yeah, yeah. So Kevin and the team and Evan Shapiro, we're contemplating a European edition. We all thought Lisbon would be a great location, and it turned out to be. Great show, great group of people. We activated the local community, which is important when you do these events. It was awesome to be in the thick of it and to sort of marry my heritage with my business. It doesn't always happen, but it's magical.
Now you've always given me the impression that Portugal fights way above their weight.
1,000,000%.
Okay, and why is that? Actually, think the phrase is punches way above their weight, but you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
I understood where you were going. Listen, you got like you almost have to go back into ancient times to answer that question, right? Like we were discoverers. Yeah, we split the world with Spain at one point. You know, and I think that's always been in our DNA. And then look, the monarchy fell in the early 1900s, and a dictatorship emerged, and we became a suppressed, very poor culture. And 52 years ago, that started changing, and I think we've always had that DNA. It's the title of my podcast. It's the heart and the hustle, sort of where ego and humility, kind of coexist. And I think that's what we have.
And I get the impression that Portugal is very much an international community, not I won't use the word simply, but not just a European community. Is that
Yeah,
right?
100%. I mean, there's we'll call them expats. I mean, a lot of people have found Portugal to be home because it's safe, because it's friendly, because it's relatively inexpensive. Um, and um, and that is the case. And look, I think we underutilize the expat community in the country as a country, and that's a bit of a mission, I would say, an objective for some of the work that I'm doing.
All right. Now, speaking of missions, you have a mission that is intended to help me and everyone over here and over there. I'm going to say realize our potential, and that is a real simplification. But you are doing something called Story Forward through your Evros group platform. So tell us what that is.
Yeah, so thank you for that and for asking the question. Story Forward is, for lack of a better term, it's a coaching program that I launched. I spent 18 months heads down designing it because I wanted something that was tangible, easy to understand, easy to execute, and super accessible. And so basically, I'm helping people write their narratives in the form of a press release 3 years out, not 30 years out, not 10 years out, not super high level, but very, very, very focused on how we see ourselves and how we want to be seen. And it's anchored on three things, three principles that I've used throughout my entire career in these big transformations and reorgs. One, understanding what we're optimizing for. Like if we understand what we're optimizing for, all the noise goes away. It's almost like putting on noise canceling headphones.
Yeah.
Right? You just start focusing on a particular outcome. Second, being a personal capitalist, we all get super loyal to a job, super loyal to a company, super loyal to a boss, and we tend to forget ourselves.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and the business forgets us, regardless. That seat's only leased, and so I think it's important that we find that equilibrium of, I call it the personal capitalism. I sort of say it's where ego and humility kind of coexist. And I think that's the second principle. And then the third, Rick, is we all have IP ourselves. We're so focused on promoting the IP that is our job and our work, but never necessarily our own IP. And I think if you put all of those three things together, and you write your story, you write your narrative, it then gives you the power to execute against it. And I think when an industry and a business is going through as much change as ours is going through, lots of people need to just step away and write their story, and just help them hone in on what they're optimizing for and what direction they're going in. It's a really, really rewarding project, and I'm hopeful that this becomes, the majority of my work.
I like that. Well, now speaking of work, we know you from 30 some years at DirecTV and AT&T and T and Warner Media, and I was
I,
going
s-
through
I
some
started
notes.
young, brother.
Yeah, well, there you go. I first met you, I think, in the 2015-ish mode, and we were having breakfast. You were at DirecTV and breakfast downstairs at 30 Rock by the skating rink, and you showed me a graphic that I'm not going to show here, but I'm going to put in the notes. That now, these years later, neither of us understand, and you did it. But you had a team, right? And you were trying to get them to visualize. Is that the right word for
Yeah,
this?
look,
It's a similar approach to what you're doing now,
I think you showed me that graphic. You sent it to me before the call, and I had to ground myself a little bit. It was likely an offsite of some sort where we were, doing a visioning exercise of what the future may look like. And reflecting back, I think it was intended to be messy because, yeah, I mean, nobody knows, right,
right?
what's to come. You can desire things and you can sort of project. Um, but that was an intent to try to figure out what the future could look like and how consumers are at the center of what a future might be. You should have asked me that question the day after. I think I would have been a bit more clear.
Actually, I think, believe it or not, I was working with Amdocs then. I think I might actually have a trip report that I wrote. I'll have to go back and look at that.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right,
I
send it to me. That'd be great.
I do seem to remember you said something about you wish that on your iPhone on your train up to, I guess you lived in Connecticut then.
Westchester.
Westchester, your train on the north on the Metro North line, if there was stuff that you could do on your phone that would make it more personalized for you, and I believe this was for advertising purposes, for the ads you were seeing. And before any of us figured out what to do with that,
By the way,
you were asking the questions.
we're still trying to solve that.
Yes,
Like
yes, we are.
nobody can figure out what to watch. Nobody knows what app, it used to be what channel, now it's what app, X show is on. We're still getting ads, specifically pharmaceutical ads that are completely untargeted to the audience. I mean, look, that's what makes the world go round. I mean, we're still trying to solve the same problems,
Well,
and I think in different contexts, and that's okay. That's why shows like Stream TV last week are important.
yeah.
Um,
Somebody's got to pay for the stuff because if nobody pays for it, there's nothing to watch.
Amen, brother.
Okay, now listen. In terms of paying for things, that was an awkward lead in, but you are doing something to help startups get themselves pulled together something called, what in the world called Open Cities. I'm
Actually, Open Cities is a startup that I'm a co-founder of,
okay.
with a woman named, our CEO is a woman named Joanna Vicente. Joanna is also Portuguese, and she was the head of Sundance and TIFF, Toronto International Film Festival. Um, and the intent here is to basically create, it's a production company with a really unique way of building a pipeline. And the unique way of building a pipeline is that we're creating a story accelerator for independent filmmakers, much in the same way as there are tech accelerators, right? There's an accelerator, a company kind of shows up to the accelerator, and then there is a team, an
Okay.
organization to help them develop the idea. So the idea here is much like a lot of the labs that exist to sort of help, help storytellers develop their scripts. The idea here is that you bring great stories together with technologists, and you actually embrace technology to make a film better, faster, cheaper. Technology doesn't go away. Yet,
No, technology
yet the
accelerates.
incumbents in this industry, you know, like status quo because it's comfortable. We think the creatives ultimately are the ones that suffer as a result. And so we're going to create a safe place for technology and technologists and storytellers to coexist and help independent filmmakers make their dream projects. Yeah, we're excited about that. It's called Open Cities. We announced it right around Berlin, the Berlin Film Festival, um, and it's run by Joanna and her husband Jason. They have produced 40 independent films between them. Jason's nominated for an Oscar twice.
Nice.
Um, and we're looking for our first accelerator class to essentially be complete by the end of the year.
Okay, now I come to you and I'm a storyteller. I have been called a storyteller. Most people just call me a yapper, be that as it may. Um, are you going to help me decide whether or not my story should be put in a studio
Yeah.
or created on AI?
So we don't believe that anything should be created on AI. We believe that technology should assist
Okay. But I'm
and
starting with my story. AI is not writing the story. I'm writing the
yeah.
story. I'm doing
So
the
here's
plot and the script. Shouldn't I be using AI instead of hiring actors in a studio and spending $1 million when I can spend a tenth of that?
well, it's there's layers to that. So
There are layers.
there are layers to that. And the answer that I would give you is probably not. The answer that I would give you is throughout the value chain of any production, there's a lot of steps.
Yep.
And in each of those steps, there's opportunity for AI and technology to assist.
Certainly in editing and for God's sakes,
Editing,
I get 53 clips and I got to pick the two that have the best lighting.
yeah, exactly.
Whatever, right?
Editing, VFX, extending a scene, for example, changing the color of a shirt, like that's all very basic stuff. But do you need these 3D volume studios to build, worlds these days? Probably not. I think there's a lot of potential cost savings and improvement in the production process using AI for things like that. But Rick, it goes even further than that. It goes even like it's even more minute than that. Should we be using AI to help us schedule? Should we be using AI to help us identify locations? Should we be using AI to help us define a target audience for a film? Should we be using AI to help us or at least guide us in casting? Should we be using AI to help storyboard and create shorts and prototypes? Um, there are hundreds of little companies across the entirety of the value chain of production. And they're all trying to get to the storyteller. They're all trying to get to the producer. They're all trying to get to scale somehow.
Yep.
And so that's where we think it's sort of like a trifecta. You've got a great storyteller. So we have an open call, somebody submits a script. We then have a team to do the script coverage, and then we'll pick 10
10.
films to take through the residency through the accelerator. We will then bring in the filmmaker, mentors, right? Directors, writers, cinematographers, technologists, and then the technology that exists to potentially make the story better, faster, cheaper.
Yep.
Run them through the program. At the end of the program, we'll select two to produce. So you have a built-in producer, and not just a built-in producer. You have Joanna and Jason who've produced independent film all their careers, and we'll pick two films to go off and produce. And so it's a bit of a matchmaking approach, and bringing talent and technology together.
One of my friends and sponsors of my other show is John Giegengak from Hub Entertainment. We had a conversation not long ago about the consumer's attitude towards AI. Okay, and it's pretty basic. I mean, we started with cartoons. Well, they're not real. And then we went to Star Wars. Well, that wasn't real, but at least it was real people and little models on a soundstage. And then we got to the Avengers movies, and that was much less real, but it was very acceptable. But if somebody tries to show me something and they're using AI and it's all fake and they're trying to fool me, I will blow them away. I will not accept that, is what the consumers are saying. Now, on the same breath, by the way, they say, it's okay for me to do it,
Yeah.
but I don't want you to do it, right? Right? One of those odd
Yeah.
bits.
Look, I think it's new. It's new. It's coming fast. It's coming fast and furious, pun intended. And it's not going away. I think
Oh,
that's
absolutely
like
not.
that's the headline. Like it's not going away. So the question is, how do we embrace, as a business, how do we think of these platforms as distribution platforms? How do we think about them as discovery agents? Tubi just did what I think is a phenomenal deal with ChatGPT. Tubi's embedded in ChatGPT,
Yep.
and it's intended to be a discovery platform. They treated it as a distribution platform. So it's not going away. So the question is, how do we embrace it for the good? And the reality is, budgets are scarce. Money is scarce, especially in independent film. But there's incredible stories to be told. I think it's seven or eight of the last 10 Oscar-winning films were independent films.
That's
And
interesting.
so
Or at least started that way before the
if you
studio bought the rights to distribute
if
it.
you can't fund these great stories, I think you will lose that type of acclaim. Again, we believe it's an important time to bring tech and storytelling together.
How do people get into the submission process for Open Cities?
Open-cities.com is the
Okay.
website, and
There's a submission box there, and you
everything is
can.
in there. Submission, all the rules for submission. It's got to be a script. It can't be an idea. You have to have a short, so that we can see what your work looks like. So
This is real.
this is for filmmakers. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, guess what? When do you make your first selection of folks that you're going to back? Not back.
So
That's not absorb. No. What's the
yeah,
right word?
I
You're
would
going to
say
help.
support. Yeah,
Support. Support.
support. So the first 10. So submissions close on May 8th.
All right. Which is
Uh,
about the day this show runs. Everybody pay attention. Get it in today. But
get
okay.
it in today. Get it in today. And then we intend to start our program in August, and then have a residency. I think we're targeting about 10 days on the ground. Guess where? In
Portugal.
Portugal.
How about that? All right.
In Portugal in the fall. And hopefully we have our first two films in production beginning of next year.
All right. So somewhere along the line, I would love to get some kind of a session together with a bunch of your, we're not going to call them clients. What are they? Who are the people that you're working with? You got a name for them?
The filmmakers?
The filmmakers. So
Yeah,
the filmmakers that you've accepted into the
yeah.
program,
The
right?
creatives, yeah. Yeah,
Okay. Uh, would would love to chat with some of them as you're going along as to
yeah,
what the process is like, what their process was like before they met you, and now what the process is like with Open Cities.
yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they're all going to be pretty excited. And you know what? It's pretty cool stuff, dude. I like this.
Yeah. This is cool. I mean, Joanna and Jason are amazing human beings. They grew up in this business. They're creatives at the core. They're independent filmmakers. There's nobody else that I can imagine doing this with, and it's been a real pleasure getting this thing up and running with them.
Cool, man. All right. Well, guess what? That's all for today. We will catch up again. But Tony Gonsalves, thank you very much. And I hope, did you get trapped in the TSA line mess, or you were probably over there when it happened over here?
We got trapped in we avoided two snowstorms.
Well, yeah, I got that
So we
too.
got that. And then I got trapped on the inbound in the TSA mess.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But you're here, and now it should be easier to get back. And even if you are a Yankees fan, goddamn it. All right, buddy. Listen, thank you very much, man, and take good care. Bye bye.
Thank you. Take care.